What's going on, guys? It's Mike for SimRacing 604, and today I'm going to be answering some of the top questions I see for each of my favorite sims. So we'll go through them in alphabetical order, and we'll start off with Assetto Corsa. And number one question I get asked is link for download, or where can I find the link? And I think I'm pretty good at providing the link to the main feature of the video. For example, if there's a new Racesim Studio car or something like that, I'll usually provide that link in the description, but often I'll use it at a track that is not a base Assetto Corsa track, or use a sound mod or something like that. So if there's something incomplete or you're looking to find your own mods, best resource in my opinion is Race Department. Race Department features a ton of mods. They're categorized into cars, tracks, sounds, and people can leave star ratings as well, and generally the ones that are not good or the ones that are stolen get deleted pretty quickly. So Race Department is my go-to. After that, it's the GT Planet Assetto Corsa modding forum. Great helpful community there. People release early releases, or people share early releases of their builds and take critique from the community, and it's generally very positive, generally very helpful. So those are my primary go-tos, as well as Racesim Studio, VRC modding team. Some of these paid mod teams, they continue to do fantastic work, so I follow them on social media and also check with their website frequently. So that's usually where I get my mods. So if you can't find a link, that's the best place to go to. And next up, Assetto Corsa Competizione, and number one question I get asked, and I've kind of made fun of this in the past, but it keeps coming up, and I think from a good place. Nordschleife. When is Nordschleife coming to Assetto Corsa Competizione? And I can say with a high degree of certainty that it will never come to ACC, and there's a number of reasons. There's licensing reasons, but I think the primary reason at this point is that Kunos is probably not looking to invest the time it would take to bring Nordschleife to ACC. We're getting Imola very soon, and then sometime into next year we'll be looking to get the British GT pack in our hands from ACC, from Kunos, and I think that'll probably wrap up development for ACC if I'm not mistaken. There'll be hot fixes, bug fixes, small updates from there on probably, but according to the Wikipedia, Kunos is going to be shifting their focus to Assetto Corsa 2 for a release in 2022, so I suspect that they're going to be all hands on deck for that. So don't look for Nordschleife to be added to Assetto Corsa Competizione. I don't think it'll happen. Besides, we have it in just about every other sim, so it's not like you're missing out. Next up, Automobilista. And question I get asked when people either see me driving it or hear good things about it and then try it for themselves, why is this sim not more popular? You jump into Automobilista, and within a few minutes you just instantly connect with whatever car you're driving, and you realize what a fantastic racing sim it is. But it's held back, I think, primarily because of two reasons. Number one, the content isn't necessarily mainstream. There's a big focus on South American race cars, race tracks, and they're great, but it probably lacks mainstream appeal. You can find your Nordschleife, Nürburgring, Spa, GT3, F1 cars, things like that, but it's not base content. There's some sort of knockoff brand Porsche, there's knockoff brand F1 cars, but as far as like official looking content, the mainstream stuff just isn't there, and it's never been the focus. You have to go mods to get that, but the driving experience itself is unbelievably good, and so people always wonder why it's not more popular. And so number one, like I said, you have to go mods to get the mainstream content. The base game does not have mainstream content, or much mainstream content I should say, and then also the graphics. It's built on DirectX 9, so it's never going to look as good as the racing sims that are being released right now, so it does hold it back. There's no VR, so graphics and mainstream content primarily, I think, is why Automobilista is not more popular. But if you want a pure excellent driving sim, give AMS a try for sure. Moving on, of course, to Automobilista 2. So Automobilista 2, a week ago I would have said the most common question is, when are we getting GT3, GT4? We now have it. It's great. So the question is, at this point, how is the multiplayer? and unfortunately not great. AMS2, it's lacking a bit of the necessary popularity to fill out a lot of online lobbies. I went on there, I'm recording this on a Sunday. I went on there in the morning and there was almost nothing. There was about a dozen online races, and most of them not even filled halfway. So unfortunately, the lack of popularity of AMS2 is holding it back in the multiplayer department. I'm hoping that turns around. The sim is awesome. I really love it, and even filming the B-roll for this video, it just reassured me of how great this racing sim is, and I hope more people try it. I hope those online lobbies and online races start to get filled out more, because in my opinion, the sim is very much deserving. Those two things that I talked about that held back Automobilista 1, first off the graphics, and second off the mainstream content. Automobilista 2 checks those boxes, so I hope this really takes off, and I hope the multiplayer gets filled out very soon, but as of right now, very, very quiet online. And then we move on to something that's hardly a feature of this channel, and that is iRacing. So a lot of people ask me, why don't you iRace more? Why don't you feature more iRacing content? And the truth is that I just don't have the time. iRacing is expensive, and that's what keeps most people away, but I do pay for a subscription. But it's the time that just kills me, because I don't get a lot of time during a day. I have a job and a family, so primarily my time is spent editing more so than anything else. So I edit first thing in the morning, and I edit before I go to bed at night, and that helps me keep the videos coming to you guys. And if I were to dedicate that time to a practice, a quali, and a race session in iRacing, unfortunately it would take away from the amount of content I could put out, and I want to keep that going, because I'm really enjoying making content right now for you guys, and interacting with the community, of course. So it's just time. That's the only reason I don't feature iRacing. I like iRacing. I think it's a great sim. When I do play it, I just don't, unfortunately, allocate the time to play it as much as perhaps I should. And now the most controversial, well, perhaps the second most controversial title, only to its successor, and that is Project Cars 2. A lot of controversy has been surrounding this title since day one, but now it's, I guess, coming up on 3 years old. And the question I see quite often is it worth buying in 2020? And I would actually say yes. I would say yes. I don't love the driving experience. There are force feedback mods you can get for this title on PC that make it feel really, really good, but the problem is the driving experience, in my opinion, falls short of a lot of the titles we're used to driving these days, and I just don't have as good a time with it as I do in other racing titles. However, if you can find this on a Steam sale and spend, let's say, 20 bucks on the base game, you get a lot for that. There's a ton of tracks that are included, there's a ton of cars that are included, it's gorgeous, the VR is fantastic. There's a lot going for it. I would never argue that this is the best racing sim you could buy, but in terms of, again, if you get it on a sale, bang for your buck, I think Project Cars 2 actually ranks quite high. And if you're somebody that's new to sim racing, or you're not picky about the driving experience, there's no reason why you can't have a tremendous time racing it in 2020. So that's my answer. Find it on a sale if you can, and there's definitely fun to be had. And next up, the new number one in controversy, Project Cars 3. Project Cars 3, not a well-loved title, unfortunately. I was one of the few that held high hopes for this title before release, and a lot of the things from PC2, like the driving experience, for example, were addressed, and drives much better, in my opinion, than its predecessor. The problem is everything else that surrounds it, not great. I was highly critical of this game. You're incentivized to win races cleanly, but you can't do it because the AI blocks corners. They go 4 wide, and it's, anyway, that's my biggest issue with it, is the core of the game is flawed. But a lot of you asking about bug fixes. I know the Xbox version is highly flawed. Again, my complaints about the AI is shared with a lot of people. And the question is, when is it going to be fixed? I wouldn't hold my breath, if I'm being totally honest with you. Everything I've seen from Slightly Mad Studios on their social media, it's like they're doing this everything is okay dance, and not really addressing. I mean, granted, I wouldn't expect them to come out publicly and say, yes, our game is a mess, we're working on it. They can't do that. marketing team says, you know, move forward, address the bugs where you can. But unfortunately, that doesn't give much hope to us as sim racers that this will ever be brought up to its potential. So if you're waiting on a specific bug to be fixed, I don't know what to offer other than it doesn't look like Slightly Mad Studios is really, at least publicly, addressing the issues that keep getting brought up. So I wouldn't hold my breath on many bugs getting fixed, but I hope Slightly Mad proves me wrong, because I think there's serious potential in this game that is being squandered. And I really hope they listen to their fans, and I really hope they'll start to make some better posts and let people know that they're listening and they want to improve the title for us as sim racers. But we'll see. Next up, Raceroom Racing Experience. Number one question, what content should you get? And it's a tough question. There is a lot of content in Raceroom at this point, and it's tough to single out just one thing that you would enjoy. This isn't a title that does one thing really well. It does a lot of things very well. The good news is it's also the only sim racing title I know of that allows you to test drive the content before you buy it. So what you can do is actually, in the game, you can go into the store, pick a car you might be interested in, choose test drive, and take it out to the Raceroom fictional track and just drive as long as you want. And you can do that for any car as many times as you want. So it really allows you to sort of find your own way in the game without wasting money. If you do decide to buy something, make sure you go to raceroomstore.com, buy the VRP, which is the in-game currency, and then go on to buy it. If you do it through the game directly, you're going to pay more than you need to. But yeah, you can test drive. And I don't have a single recommendation of what to get. I think a lot of the car classes are extremely well done. Tin tops especially. I would say GT4, GT3, TCR, those are probably the best you're going to get in Raceroom, but there's a lot of other great ones as well. And now that I say it, GT2, GT1, those are all great as well. So test drive it. If you have a favorite race series or even a favorite manufacturer, favorite make and model of car that you want to see the race version of, test drive it and go out, see if you actually like it in game, and then you can buy it with the method I suggested. So I don't have specifics, but the content you should get is completely up to you, and you can test drive it so you don't waste your money. And finally, rFactor 2. And same question as Raceroom, which content should you get? And I've done a video about this in the past. My recommendation for cars is the Endurance Pack. I like the GTE cars, and the LMP2, LMP3 that come with the Endurance Pack are also very nicely done. GT3s in this game are really, really great, but if you already own ACC, I don't think it's a step up. I think at best it's a lateral move. I think they drive great, but so does ACC. So if you are thinking about the GT3 packs in rFactor 2, unless rFactor 2 is your only sim, I would say probably if you have ACC, you're good. But yeah, GT3s can be great. As far as tracks, Sebring, fantastic. Nürburgring, I think, is up to 9 layouts now. That's a great purchase as well. And we should have Spa coming out very soon as well. So Endurance Pack for cars is my recommendation. And then on the track side, probably Nürburgring. But there's a lot, and I'll link to the video in the description, and you can follow my video and see my recommendations on what to get. So that's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for the questions. I don't get to see all the comments on my channel anymore for reasons I've talked about in the past. But yeah, keep them coming. Whatever I do see, I might do another follow-up video if I see common questions happening again and again. Thank you guys for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.